how are certain departments doing. And again, if we had better interim statements, we would know that to a certain degree. I believe
Yep.
we would.
Well, and you know, and that independent person, that consultant, could dig into those areas.
Sure they could.
You know, easier than we could on our time schedule. If they saw something, and on the direction of the committee or the board, you know, to say, well, after presenting this, we're not sure about this one part, and we want to look at that a little further.
On the biannual report, you were talking about 60 to 90 days for the quarterly return. Would that be about the same length of time that we would be looking at for a biannual?
You know, I mean, we're just throwing, I guess if we were doing it and not doing the audit, I think 60 days, because well, it's not just how long it takes to prepare it, but for the cutoff of all the accruals, receivables, payables, and all that,
Right.
it's a good 30 to 45 days, and then just preparing it, I think 60 is just about the quickest.
Right.
Wouldn't you say, Dave? You know, that you could really turn that
But
around.
the time wouldn't differ from a
I don't
quarterly
think so.
to a
No.
biannual?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. No.
You know, I think that this is a good time to have this discussion, Jeff, because we're going to be going into budget committee meetings here soon for 2015. And, you know, these types of expenses adding, if we feel it would be beneficial, probably it's the time to do it in our budget year. I want to ask a question. Would this be able to come out of non-general fund accounts, where if it was a consultant type thing, would that be able to come under liability fund?
Well, good question. Yeah.
Well, I've been cooking the books for years. Ken, you won't report that.
That's the lead.
Ted's cooking the books.
Well, it shows it might be a way to pay for it,
Right.
where we can do it in a non-general fund way. And so I just raised that as
You know, I don't think it'd be any different than any other professional.
that's my thought, that it
Yeah.
would probably fit in the liability, because
Yeah.
that's where we put non-staff professional services, so.
Yeah.
Well, again, what did we want to talk about the independent audit departments, because, you know, that's on the agenda, and I want to give people.
Well, it wasn't really
Okay.
concerning Jim or Dave. It was just, I thought we talked about that possibly. Their firm audited the treasurer's office, you know, did a more thorough audit through it a couple years ago, and I just thought it'd be appropriate if we went through all the departments in the county and you know, maybe every year target one department and have them look finer their books, and then.
Jeff, I think that's an absolutely great idea. I think that is an absolute great idea. I mean, I don't think you do them all at once, but I think if you rotate.
We rotate through all the departments.
I think we should.
And what that would be, we've done this with other counties, and what that would be is, when we say agreed upon procedures, and I don't know if that's why you refer to it, but they are audit procedures. They're just not a full audit opinion, but they're audit procedures that are performed on a limited basis.
Right.
And the reporting on that is much more detailed than the audit report, because it will tell you what areas you looked at, what was your parameter, what you found, what are the recommendations, you know, and it's more of a written report than just the numbers. And we have, you know, we have performed those, just exactly what you're talking about, and in other cities.
I think it's wise to do that.
Yeah.
But
I'm not saying there's anything going wrong in any other
I'm
departments.
not implying that either, Jeff, but I think that having, again, this could be something that's paid through the liability fund, and so it would be a non-general fund thing. It could be planned where a 5-year period or whatever the schedule is, each department gets an independent look. Again, it's not a full audit, but there will be enough testing done to bring some reasonableness to the, you know, to the final conclusion.
It might help the departments clean their books up too, so they have there and handle what's going on.
I think there's something else we should consider if we put the budget together. Is I think these are both very good suggestions which also leads to, well, do we want to dismiss these guys and continue on the agenda, Jeff, or what do you want?
Unless there's any more questions, I don't think there's any more sense.
Just a quick question. You got track involved grants for single audit report. Well, I know the health department gets a lot of grants.
Yeah.
Now, just like the highway department, you know, they had that grant come in and it didn't show up in there as a revenue. Wouldn't it be better to keep the grants where the departments are instead of one general audit report?
That's government
I'm
accounting.
just
Well,
asking.
you know, they need to be accountable for their own grants, absolutely.
Okay.
But what works best, if we can, you know, I know we've been working on this, you know, for a couple of years, is just have a centralization so that we know all the grants. Because what, you know, we have to determine not only are you under single audit, but what type of testing, depending on the type of grant. I mean, there's a lot of decisions to be made for the single audit. When, David, you could speak to this, when you spend quite a bit of time like you have in the past to even know, and then sometimes, well, and sometimes it's not a fault of the county or their personnel. The funding people are really hard to deal with sometimes on these. We'll get documentation almost after the fact. We're almost done with the audit and we find out something is a federal fund. And they're just getting around to letting us know. So it's a difficult thing to follow, and it is time, I mean, it takes a lot of time to do it. It's time sensitive. I'm trying to get the audit done, and anything that could be done to help with that.
So it would
Yeah.
show up in the highway department, but it'd also
In the
show
single
up
one.
here
Well,
in the single.
yeah. If you look at
That's
your,
good.
go ahead, Dave. If you look at your single audit,
That's
they're not by
fine.
department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where it's gonna
It makes
show up.
sense.
Yeah.
That's more governmental. Whoa, sorry, power went off somewhere.
No, that's fire.
Well, gentlemen, thank you.
Okay.
We appreciate the time you've given us. We appreciate the time at last meeting. I personally thank you for helping me and the board to better understand some schedules at the jail last time. Thank you. That was helpful. Okay, we're going to move forward. Discussion of an administrative position before the auditors leave. One of the conversations we did have, Larry, with the auditors, Jeff and I, was some of our annual deficiencies, if you will, not deficiencies is the wrong word, but where we have issues that come up with separation of duties and things in the accounting, in our treasurer and what Phyllis does. If we had an administrator, some of those duties could be delegated to a larger pool, and some of the things that you report every year as material weaknesses would in essence go away, because there would be another person that would be able to handle some of these segregation of duties. Is that a fair statement?
That's true. Yeah.
Okay. So this whole discussion of the administrator position, again, I think belongs in the budget committee. I think we've talked about it. I think that there's a lot of people that feel that that would make a lot of sense. Jeff, you want to have more discussion about it right now? Or?
Well, you know, if we do this quarterly, if we bring somebody in to do that, will that offset several of the things that the administrator would oversee or have another look at, or not?
Depends on what type of administrator you get. If you get a CEO/CFO type,
Yeah.
that has, you know, their CPA and an MBA, they would probably be able to do some of that interim accounting.
But that's what I'm saying, you know, can this, whoever we had do this quarterly, can they fulfill some of the administrators, what we want administrators to do? As far as overlooking departments.
I think it's what direction we go, Jeff.
Yeah.
If we go in the direction of a strong administrator/CFO type, you know, you could kill a couple of birds with a single rock.
And they would prepare the quarterly in addition to the,
But I can tell you, it takes a unique administrator to do that.
yeah.
I
I don't know if we can,
we wouldn't,
we can afford somebody that.
Right.
you wouldn't want to, most CEOs you don't want closing your books. They never hold up to audit.
Well, and I'll just make the comment that if you instead of in-house, if you have an outside person, that's independent just like we are, but is doing this for you and not giving an opinion, not doing an audit, we can't be part of your internal control system as your
Right.
auditors. They can be.
Right.
I mean, even though they're outside,
Exactly.
they can be part of your internal control system and be relied on by independent auditors.
Okay, so
Yeah.
whoever did this quarterly, we could rely also on some of this administrative,
You can't,
Possibly.
if it works, yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
possibly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Possible,
Yes, you
because
could.
I see it.
So it wouldn't be person in, okay,
Yes.
I mean, I think the budget committee really would,
yeah,
but it's a good thought.
yeah.
What kind of administrator do we need? Because we were talking about this before. Do we need that would fill out grants and stuff like that? Because we had said before, this could actually pay for itself.
Yeah.
What kind of administrator are we talking about there? COO, CEO?
Well, again, if we really make the commitment, I think that we would put together a very good detailed job description of the personnel committee and come up with what we would want Gary, this person, to do.
Yeah.
And then probably work with the compensation consultant, but we have some folks on our insurance that could probably help us there in personnel. You know, what do these folks make? And you could go do some salary type searches and see what these types of folks make. And then, you know, if we get committed to this, I'd say you get committed all the way to it. But that's just my opinion.
I think a big thing, what Ted said earlier, the job description, instead of each one of us as individuals, this is what I think he ought to do.
Right.
But maybe 10 of us all have different ideas.
Right.
But, you know, we don't need it too broad-minded, but to get it focused what's going to work for here. And I see that administrator is doing a lot of the department audits. I mean,
Good.
individually working with the sheriff's department, the animal control, and
Good.
the highway committee, and that, I mean, I know Jim, you probably work for $10 an hour, but I'm just saying that would take a lot of the work of your tedious work,
Right.
because he works with it every day.
Right.
He knows what the hell he's doing. Not that you don't, but I'm just saying that would do a lot of your work for you, and you could just compile it then.
What would it take to do these biannually audit or reports and that? I mean, what type of a person would it take
Oh, to do,
the, what we talked about, the quarterly interim financial statement?
oh, what we did, the list we just gave you?
Yeah, I mean, what qualifications does it take for that type of person?
Would they have to be a CPA, Dave? I mean, almost, you know,
Definitely need an accounting degree,
Yeah.
obviously, but,
4-year accounting degree,
right,
for sure,
it'd be
but,
best if they had governmental experience
right.
to understand the flow of the funds. I guess I don't know if a CPA for that duty would be required.
Well, if they're gonna prepare the financial statement, I think they'd almost have to be.
Right,
Yeah.
right. If it depends on how far you take it, correct?
Yeah.
If you're looking for an administrator, grant, fundraiser, you know, type of person.
We're looking at two different
Yeah.
positions
I
here.
think you're looking at two things.
Yeah, right, we can't have one person do
Yeah,
both.
I think you're looking at two things.
Okay, that's just a question I had.
Well, we'll let your auditors go now.
Okay.
We've,
Yeah,
we've,
thanks for coming
gotten
down again.
our,
Sure.
Thank you.
last
And
penny.
we'll get that audit approved by the board and
Okay.
get all your paperwork.
I guess let me know if that's, I guess I'll assume it will, if not, you'll let me know.
Okay,
Either
okay.
way, let me know.
Okay.
So we can finalize that and get
Okay.
it in file. Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen,
Thank you,
again.
thank you.
We appreciate it. We're going to move on because we do have some things to cover here. Monthly financial report. We're going to turn it over to Bev, and Bev's going to talk to us about our current cash position in our investments, and she's going to also talk to us about a couple other things that I know she's been working hard on. So,
Okay, on the financial, the total checking is $858,218.07. We have $4,111,054 invested. Our line of credit has jumped up $346,769.77.
it's jumped up to 346.
Yes.
It hasn't
Yeah,
jumped.
it's jumped up to, not jumped up as.
I just
Yeah,
want to
jumped
make
up.
sure.
Yeah,
I understood that, but I don't want Dan
We've
to
been having
throw
fun,
me
Ted.
in.
I think some of that was highway department.
No,
Jimmy didn't need that, you need access to that?
not yet.
Okay.
I mean, but the looks at the highway department, if you take what they got in their bank account and their claims, I mean, they do show in the red, but I think they're picking up some money, for the township bridge, and I think that's kind of on your agenda later on, so, they're using some township bridge money.
I think historically, these months before the taxes go out and come in start to become leaner.
And
That's why you have a line of credit for timing issues. But Okay, what else, Bev, do you have for us?
Well, we had originally hoped to mandate direct deposit for payroll, but we found out that we cannot mandate it. So I kind of changed my presentation to see if maybe if the board members can maybe help us recommend it to the department heads. This will, I mean, if we can get as many people on this direct deposit as possible, it's a money saver to us, of course, as a whole. There's benefits to us as a company, a county, as well as to the employee. It can allow, as the auditors have talked about, the audit, dollars to go down. If our reconciliation process is quicker and more efficient, less outstanding checks that they have to go through on our statements. We don't have to, less outstanding checks that we have to report to the state of Illinois as unclaimed money. It could help us just keep one checking account for payroll and accounts payable if we could have ACH direct deposits for the majority.
Beth, how many of our employees now are on direct deposit?
Well, I just know how many are not.
Okay.
There's 35 employees that are not. So I guess what we're asking you is to have the department heads, talk to their employees, share the benefits of using the direct deposit when you guys go into, your department meetings. The savings per check can be anywhere from $2.87 to $3.15 a check. And I think the employees need to understand that it's also good for them. I mean, a lost or stolen check is a source of identity theft for the employee. And it's cost us money when we have to stop payment on those checks and reissue the checks, try to find the missing checks that they didn't get. It's in their account faster. The paychecks are deposited if they're on vacation or if they're just out for the day. They don't have to come in the next day to get the paycheck. I mean, there are benefits to them also, as well as benefits to us for our auditors, for our outstanding check reports, and the cost of our checks. So it's not really a one-sided street, so.
Bev, you're thinking that when we have our budget meetings this year, we talk to the department heads. Do you think in the meantime, Bev, it would hurt if Jeff wrote a letter stating we, maybe introducing direct deposit, or Phyllis writing a letter encouraging the employees to
Also
consider
board
it?
members and elected officials.
Yeah, I think that'd be very well appreciated any time.
Well, if
Department
we're
head.
going to ask the staff, maybe the board should be the first to say we're all
That's what I'm
going to
thinking.
do. We're all going to do direct deposit.
I'd love to do it. I've been doing it for the last 20 years through John Deere, and it's
Best
a
thing
great
we ever
idea.
So if we said the board's now doing direct deposit,
Yeah.
Right.
The forms are right in the.
Yeah,
In your
I
package.
saw.
There, so
Yep.
if you
I think
get those
that'd be the way to start,
taken
Jeff,
Mhm.
and just top down. So, thanks, Bev.
I'd
You
like
have
for us
questions?
to just, on this direct deposit issue, is do a little more research on it, because like I said, how is it that the federal government and other government agencies mandate it, and yet we can't?
You can't in Illinois.
It's in the
Yeah,
labor law.
Iowa, it's mandated.
yeah.
You can't in Illinois.
My wife
In Iowa,
worked for the Postal Service in Illinois, and she had to have direct
That's
deposit.
federal.
Federal, yeah.
In Iowa, you can do it. You can't do it in Illinois.
But if you figure it is so convenient and a cost savings for our treasurer, it all makes sense, and I don't know why people wouldn't want to do it.
Because it's Illinois.
No.
But the state of Illinois, they're mandating us to have our reimbursements direct deposited. They're telling us as a county, you guys have to have your
That's what I'm saying.
reimbursements. I know.
You'll
It doesn't.
find my way up my house.
George,
This pair hasn't been voted yet.
I did some research on it, and I could be wrong, but
No, no, you're not. I mean, I printed out the labor law, Ted, that the link that you faxed me. No, it's
I think if you
100%
do, you're
correct.
asking for a labor problem.
Yeah.
It's good enough.
We might be able to convince them into doing it.
Well, I think it'd be voluntary, Dan. You know,
it's
it's a good, all our board members are doing it now.
It is a win-win.
Yeah.
I've had it since 1978,
Oh, I
best
wouldn't-
thing they ever
I
came
wouldn't-
out
I
with.
agree.
I
I
love it.
wouldn't do it another way, any other way.
It's like money. in the
You know,
bank.
there is a way in Illinois. Bev, did you look at those debit cards that you can do? Did you look into that at all? Because you can do like debit cards.
Instead of a check.
Yeah.
Well, no, in
You
the
can't-
actual
You can't do that
wording,
either?
no,
Oh,
it
I
says,
thought you could.
unless the
mandate that.
employee volunteers
Can't
to be
mandate it.
paid by direct deposit in an account at a bank, it is his or her choice. You have to allow, the employee to be able to liquidate their check, to cash their check, turn it into cash.
Okay, well, I think we start with the board, Jeff, and maybe Phyllis and you sign an email or maybe, whatever, something to hang up and encourage people and be talking to department heads during the budget meetings, and because it is beneficial to everybody. I agree with Bev on that. Bev, collateralization of deposits. I know you've been working on that for a while. Why don't you talk to us about that? B, under your report. Are you ready to talk about that? Or
I didn't know
we didn't know. Okay.
about
The cloud.
Remember there was that question about collateralization.
Oh, that, she took care of that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was
But
done.
it was never addressed at the last meeting.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Just wanted to
the-
give you a chance. to
Yes.
Yes, the pledges
Yes.
have been up, and it was just a one
Yes.
bank account
Yes.
at the First Community Bank, and they have upped our pledges by $1 million.
So all our
So it covers-
deposits now are collateralized.
Yes.
Where the auditor pointed out that we had some
Yes.
that weren't, and Jeff and I
Yeah.
talked to Phyllis and Bev on that.
Mhm.
But that was done right away.
That-
wasn't it?
that was
I
done
mean,
by the
it
last
wasn't-
meeting,
It
yes.
wasn't.
Yes.
Thanks for bringing that up. It's good to get it in the
It
minutes
was
that
on the
they are.
agenda, but it went. We just sped right
It went
on.
to Sherrard with me last
Yeah.
week, right? All right, well, good. Well, Vicki, what do you have for us?
You should have a green sheet in your packet. Nothing's
Green sheet. Yeah, green sheets are easy for me.
good.
Motion to approve probation report. Make that.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Public health financials, Dr. Anseeuw.
Yes, because the revenue and expense for public health.
You make that as a motion?
I'll make that as a motion.
Motion is made, is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Law enforcement, Mr. Haines.
Law enforcement financials are listed on the law enforcement committee. I believe that's where it's at. Or wait a minute, no, it
Mercer
isn't.
County Sheriff's Office.
Mercer County Sheriff's Office,
Yeah.
April 2014 receipts to the county.
2014 receipts to the county.
I move to approve this.
Second.
I have a question, or just a comment on law enforcement. The sheriff was kind enough to send me some information for the first 6 months of the year. Jeff, I'm not sure if I forwarded that to you or not. I've been so busy. But just as a matter of, and I just want to make sure I'm clear on this, billable, not cash received from prior periods, but what has been our actual billable outside prisoner occupancy from December 1st through May 31st. And the numbers that the sheriff provided for me is that we have averaged 37.17 U.S. Marshal inmates a day in that 6-month accrual period. If we took that times 182 days, it's $65 a day. For this period, the U.S. Marshal accrual is roughly $441,000. If we take Cook County, For the same 6-month period, we've averaged 7.67 inmates a day. We took that times 182 at $50 a day. That gives us $69,988 of Cook County revenue for that period of time from December 1st through May 31st. You add those together, our billable day total was 510,000. Our budget, what we approved, at 71 inmates for that 6-month period, would give us budget billable roughly 732,000. That's 71 inmates that we budgeted each day to be in the jail. So what that means is that for the first 6 months, we're running behind budget on outside prisoner revenue, 221,000. We hope that changes. We hope Cook County comes in and we start to get Cook County. But right now, just from a pure, what have we had in our jail and outside prisoners for this 6 months, we're running $221,000 behind budget for revenue for that period.
Budget estimates at 71 inmates, correct?
71.
Okay, but then didn't we also come back and say what we had to positively have was 37?
Well,
It was 36 inmates. Actually, it was at $55. Yeah.
Well, Ted's talking budget numbers, not
Yeah.
numbers for the jail admission numbers.
I mean, you can budget in, oh, hey, I'm gonna get $1 million raise
Well,
this year.
I
and then
see,
you
we
go
have to
get-
see how the rest of the year works out.
no, I agree.
Right.
Dan, my point is simply this, and I said this at the last meeting. Right or wrong, we burdened the jail with 71 inmates a
Yeah.
day, right or wrong.
Right.
This board did that,
Yeah, we
That's
did.
right.
okay?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that for the first 6 months of the year, from an accrual basis, we're approximately, and I say this carefully because it could be 10,000 either way, but we're approximately 221,000 less than budgeted. I'm just stating the fact.
And that would be today, yeah.
That's
Because
okay.
the first 5 months, we were like $950 some off of that budget.
That's
But
cash.
we had extra days come in, yes,
That's cash.
and, well, estimating what we were making, how much we were bringing in, we're about $1,000, let's just call it 1,000 even. We're $1,000 off of that first 5 months, which would be December, January, February, March, April. So now May, it was a bad month. We didn't have a lot of the prisoners in there that we should.
I'm talking on an accrual basis, Dan.
On an accrual basis.
On cash, there was income that came in 14, some of it was actually accrued in 13.
That's
Okay.
correct.
You're right when you say we were only 1,000 less than
We
last year.
reapplied that to the 13 budget.
But that's a
But
cash,
you can't-
that's a
you can't carry that
cash.
over.
Fine.
So,
You can still take that we've averaged 37 inmates,
Right.
federal inmates,
yes, we have.
every day from today. So
I'm saying,
basically, yeah, I
We
agree,
have that.
we budgeted this many inmates, and we only have this many, yeah, it's gonna make your line look worse.
Yeah.
well,
I agree with that.
But it's accurate, is what I'm saying. It is accurate.
I think that the reason why I raised it,
$220,000 off budget, just from the jail.
Yes.
Just from the jail. Not, don't take anything else into account.
Right.
Only,
So,
but at this point, the jail is still paying for itself, and it's paying for the 4 additional jails. Plain and simple, you
If we're
can't
losing
argue it.
$221,000.
but we still got, somehow we still got to make budget.
Like I said, I can budget, I'm gonna get $1 million raise this year, and I'm not
Dan-
gonna get it.
Dan,
You know,
right or
you can
wrong,
budget whatever you
Dan,
want.
right or wrong, we
That's
tasked
actual
the
budget.
jail
Yes.
to have 71 inmates. That 71 inmates translated to a overall county-wide budget that showed a slight surplus, okay?
Okay.
I'm just stating a fact. Now, next year, if we do the jail, maybe we only do 40 inmates, okay?
All
Or
right.
45 or 50, whatever the budget committee comes up with.
We'll let this year's audit on that determine what we.
Well,
next
the
year.
next 3 months.